This week, the Nigerian media space has been taken over by discussions around security, food insufficiency, and the need to rejuvenate local governments. The Supreme Court has declared that it is unconstitutional for state governors to hold funds allocated for local government administration. But how could this court order be strictly implemented? On the flip side, President Mohammed tinubu announced the creation of the Federal Ministry of Livestock Development expected to end the perennial clashes between pastoralists and farmers. This decision is raising public debates as to whether or not this is the ultimate solution to the conflict. And on the flip side, yes, on the other hand, the government has announced a 150-day duty-free import window for food commodities as it stepped up efforts to tackle rising inflation, which has impoverished many Nigerians. But is this enough to address the worsening food shortage in the country? We have to find answers to this and many more questions on the program tonight. I'm Hamza Idris. Thank you for joining. You can also contribute to the conversation on any of these issues through a dedicated telephone line as the program unfolds. But here in the studio, we have Jameelu Mohammed, an economic analyst and an author. Thank you very much for coming to the studio, Jameelu.
Thank you for having me. Good evening, viewers.
Yes, and before the commencement of the program, here are some tidbits. A secondary school building has collapsed in Plateau State, killing at least 12 persons and leaving dozens of others injured. Activities at St. Academy and its immediate environment in Busabiji area of Just North were disrupted on Friday morning when the school's two-story building caved in on students and their teachers. And back here in Abuja, a federal high court has remanded 8 Chinese nationals and a Nigerian at Kuje prison. The federal government had arraigned them for illegal mining activities in Lokpauku community, Umochize, within Umocho local government area of Abia State. In a statement, Shogun Tomari, Special Assistant on Media to the Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Dele Alake, said the suspects, including 8 Chinese nationals and 1 Nigerian, were apprehended by the mining marshals, an elite security outfit crafted from the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps. We first extend our condolences to the families of those who lost their loved ones in Plateau State. Jameelu, once again, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, today is heavily loaded, as you can see. Issue of food security, creation of Ministry of Livestock Affairs, food importation, local government autonomy. And we realize which is better. Because if you check the internet, almost all of them have, attracted attention. But then maybe on the school collapse in Plateau State, where should we take the blame?
Well, we take blame to the table of the government, the regulator. That's how I see it. I've always quarreled about this. These building collapses, I think, it is an engineering problem. And we have an engineering regulator, and we have a construction regulator.
You're also an engineer.
Of course, yes. So what is happening? For a very long time, we've been having these issues, most especially around Lagos, Abuja axis, and now it has even crept to other places. So I think the problem solely lies on regulation. The regulation is that I think these buildings are not being inspected and certified.
And somebody told me earlier in the day that 2-story building, if you look at the surrounding where the school was built,
maybe
very small.
But soil analysis was not taking.
The population of the school, keeps increasing. Now
so they decided to go up. You see, without proper regulatory intervention, you have to apply maybe Ministry of Works, maybe to come and supervise or come and take notes, approve your building plans. Even after approving the required building plans during the construction, I think there has to be enough supervision.
But
so there are these regulations. I think exactly. the whole blame lies with regulatory agencies of the government.
Okay, and it appears the Ministry of Solid Minerals has, working up Chinese operatives now, 8 of them, and a Nigerian. now taken to court.
Yes, if actually this is very true and very practical, I will be very happy about it. I think not only economic-wise, but security-wise, I think we have left the doors of our nation open to just anything. Just anything. Porous. People would come, mine minerals here, go out with it. And then, you see, these are raw materials which are supposed to, improve the well-being of our own citizens, improve our economic status. But yet, when you take away these raw materials, take them out, what you are doing is you are now taking away our employment economically. But security-wise, how can these people come and invest or start working on this kind of projects and you say government is not aware? I think there is still that problem. It's still a security issue in this respect. So I commend the government in doing this, and I hope it does not stop here.
All right, thank you. Our major topics, maybe you just say a word or two on each of them so that we open the telephone line while we continue to local government autonomy. Many believe that the autonomy has been there for a very long time.
It has been there. I have been arguing with certain media men, journalists. Some journalists reported that the Supreme Court has granted. I say no, it's not granting. It's affirming. It has been there.
Just like Professor Awoli Adudu, he said so.
Good. Yes. And I saw in your own report, that's exactly how you captured it, affirmation.
Yes.
It is affirming, it has been there. I think people have just been a kind of dodging the issue, possibly because, you know, the all-powerful state governments are there, clutching their hands on the local governments and on the issues. So people do not want to talk about it. But definitely the Constitution is very clear about that. And thank God now the Supreme Court has come with a final verdict. This is what we need. And in essence, this is actually what we need in our development. I've always said, let us have a very strong federal system, weak state governments, and a very strong local government system.
I started what you said, I think, like 3 weeks ago, when you said we need more of local
government than the state.
Okay, we'll open the line later so that maybe Nigerians will help in contextualizing the major problem and how we can get it right. Yes. What about the Federal Ministry of Livestock Development?
Well, I would say it is a welcome development if it does not a kind of melt away within the rudiments of governance, because this is what is happening in Nigeria.
You have so many agencies,
you have so many agencies. They will not be effective. Of course, they are well-meaning agencies. They have been put in place to do certain well-meaning things for Nigerians, but they will melt away in the
somebody said they pray that the Livestock Ministry will not go the way of Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs.
You see, the issue is not only humanitarian, even the Ministry of Agriculture. Are Nigerians satisfied with what Ministry of Agriculture is doing?
All right.
Are we producing the necessary food to feed ourselves? You just now,
which is the other topic on food importation. Will it solve the problem?
It won't.
It will not.
It won't. Even if it is on a temporary basis, I'm telling you, practically, economically, it won't solve the problem. I've always said I am against food importation. Security-wise, it has a problem. It means if somebody wants to fight Nigeria, the person does not have to fire a bullet to fight us. All that the person would do would go to the places where we source our food, and then instead of we buying one ton for, say, 1 million naira, the person will go and pay 1.5 million naira for 1 ton and said, give us the food, don't give Nigeria. That is all. And the person will just fight Nigeria hands down without firing a bullet. So security-wise, it is not a good thing. And economically too, it is not a good thing. For how long would we be importing food when we are supposed to even feed Africa?
Okay.
Why should we?
This is the $1 million question. And as I said earlier, while putting together the program of today, Jameelu, we said you can't actually separate any of this from the other? Is it the local government? Is it the food importation? Is it the Ministry of... Because they are all interconnected. And that is why we say we'll open the line so that Nigerians can comment on any of these areas and to see how we can put them together to find a solution to the problem. Yes, and viewers, it is now the right time for you to join the conversation. Call the number displayed on your screen to contribute on any of the topics we mentioned. And please be precise in your comments, no foul language, go straight to the point. Over to you. Now, I'm still interested in what you've started talking about. Already, Jameelu, you know that our farmlands are not accessible.
To some extent, yes.
So now, if our farmlands cannot be accessed for so many reasons, number one, insecurity, right? Number two, even the farm implements. Now, how many people can afford fertilizer? Talking about the pesticide, the seeds, and all that. And Nigerians are really dying of hunger. So
the problem is we have failed to compartmentalize or departmentalize our agriculture. We are supposed to have, in the Ministry of Agriculture, we should say this is a directorate of subsistence agriculture. This is a directorate of commercial agriculture. In fact, commercial agriculture should be modeled in such a way as to make the commercial agriculture to subsidize subsistence agriculture. There are two different things. In what generally we have is subsistence agriculture. People having 1 hectare of land, 2 hectares of land. You have maybe 10,000 farmers within a given enclave, within a local government. It will not solve our problem.
It will not solve.
It has to be, you have to separate, you have to bring commercial farming. These subsistence farmers, they are ill-equipped. Even in the knowledge.
There is a big question around that. I hope you read our paper today, but let's take our first contributor from Anambra, in the person of John. John, welcome to the program.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Please. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Good evening. Good evening, sir.
Go ahead, John. What is your contribution to the program? Yes.
Okay, I think I just have a few things to say.
Okay.
Our contribution there is that I support importations of foods to Nigeria.
Okay. Why do you support it? Why?
Because while they are importing food, when the border was open, a bag of rice was 7,000, and then nobody poisoned Nigeria then. Everybody, we are feeling very well. Everybody can buy a bag of rice, or you can buy any food at affordable price. But now you can see the bandits and all these terrorists, they cannot even allow the people, the farmers, to farm in their land. Understand?
Yes.
So since we cannot fight terrorism in Nigeria, we cannot die before facing the situation we are in Nigeria. So the protection of food in this country is more prepared now at this very point.
All right.
By doing that, we can then try and solve the security problems.
All right. Thank you very much. That was John for you. He said when the borders were open, a bag of rice was 7,000. And he said the issue of insecurity is still here with us.
If you are talking about inflation, do we only have food inflation in Nigeria? It's not only food inflation. So the issue of when the border was open, food was 7,000, and now, is it because the border has been closed? Has the border been closed for every other thing? That's why we are having almost everything inflation.
Some believe that
across the whole sector.
That opening the border is like a stopgap measure.
If it is a stopgap measure, my problem with our stopgap measure is that we've been practicing this stopgap measure for more than 40 years, 50 years.
Whenever we have something to say, okay, it's temporary.
We say it's temporary, and then it exists, and it doesn't solve our problem. So the issue of saying when the borders were open, rice was 7,000, that is not the issue, because it is not only rice, it is not only food inflation. Even if he's talking about rice, is it only rice that we import?
We import a lot. We have a second caller from...
The argument does not stand.
Yes, we have a second caller from Cross River State in the person of Dudu. Welcome to the program.
Yes, once again, S.O. Dudu, calling from Cross River State.
Yes, you are welcome. Let's hear you.
Yes, good evening, the presenter, good evening, the resource person in the studio.
Thank you, Dudu, for joining us. Yes.
Yes, thank you so much. The Election Trade proposed Ministry of Livestock, local government financial autonomy.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, that is wonderful. But before then, I wish to commiserate with the good people of Plateau State.
Okay.
Over the
unfortunate
tragedy that we faced, unfortunate incident.
Okay.
Let me bring to our notice that similar incident happened at the NYC orientation camp today in Ekiti State. At the early hour of today, where female corps members that were taking their bath were actually trapped, and the toilet submerged. Some actually were trapped inside the pit, which is very, very unfortunate.
Yeah.
In this country, some of this kind of story will not be trending. It is quite unfortunate.
Yes, very
I pray
unfortunate.
for quick recovery of the injured corps members and those that lost their loved one in State.
Thank you very much, Dudu.
Yes. Back to the subject or topic of discussion.
All right.
The proposed Ministry of Livestock Development. Yes, if you check critically, the Ministry of the Livestock Department have been a department in the Federal Ministry of Agriculture. But if you ask me, to a very large extent, it has not been too functional. So I pray, just like you have mentioned in the studio, the ministry should not be like the embattled Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, where we have our sister from Cross River facing trial.
Even though it is still an allegation, yes, they are trying to...
Yes, we expect this ministry to be a ministry that will transform the livestock subsector of the agricultural value chain. If you check critically, the livestock have been the area in agriculture that have not been given the needed attention.
Yes.
But if you consider the value chain is so enormous.
It's enormous, yes.
So if the president is ready to actually give this a nod now, it's a welcome development.
All right.
So that we see how this can contribute to our national economy, precisely the GDP.
All right. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Then the financial autonomy.
All right. Thank you.
Let me be very brief.
All right.
Let me be very brief.
Thank you very much.
Financial autonomy, this is the best gift that the president have given to Nigeria.
All right.
President Bola Tinubu have done us well. We are very happy.
All right.
If you speak critically, the local government is the government that is closer to us, people that are in the grassroots. But from all indications, the local government has been modeled by the state governors. Personally, in several posts I made yesterday, I described it as being controlled and modeled by the emperors in the states. But if you look at what has happened, we can now use some style of relief. We can now begin to have expectation. Because if you check back in the 80s, local government were constructing roads. Local government were constructing convents. Local government were carrying out people welfare projects. But presently, nothing of such is happening. Because
Yes.
the governor has actually molded the local government. Look at like in my state, Cross River State.
All right.
Look at like in my state, Cross River State.
Dudu, I'm compelled to
let me
thank you at this moment, yes, because quite a number of people are still on the line trying to call. I think he has made his point, and we're very sorry for continue because of the pressure. Thank you very much for your informed perspective on all of these issues. He has touched virtually all the issues: local government autonomy, livestock ministry, and the issue of insecurity. So we thank him. Now, Jameelu, the fear is you can give somebody freedom, but unless you are sincere, because the feelers we got is that the governors are saying, yes, thank you, we are now, okay, let the local government go. In Hausa, they say Borun Kunya or something like that.
Yes.
I don't know.
Tabarman Kunya.
Yes.
You see, it's not about how sincere the state governors would be or the state apparatus would be. That's not my fear. My fear is the capacity of the local governments to handle this autonomy. Because what the so-called joint account, JAC, and the state governmental systems, the damage they have done to the local governments is so enormous, such that now this financial autonomy, this so-called freedom, will take some time before it takes root. The local government is so devastated that the people that will come and man these positions of running the autonomy, I think they will find it very.
Some people are suggesting that maybe retired permanent secretaries at the state and national level, principals of schools, should be chairmen, councillors of the local government.
It has to be so, actually. It has to be. You see, I was talking to somebody a moment ago, and actually he's let me say a prof, because he's an associate prof. He said, man, it seems I'm going back to my local government. I'll go and contest and become a...
Which is good,
I
right?
said, yes. I said, thank you, if you would do that. But many people will not think like that. Many people will not look at it from a developmental point of view, because they will say, okay, if you go, what are you going to get at the local government and so on and so on.
Nothing for now.
But it is not the issue of the finances. It's about the developmental aspect. You see, I think of all the things President Ahmed Tinubu has done, even from the wrong side of history, the things people will blame and say, this government has done so, as skyrocketing food prices. I think President Ahmed Tinubu, with this, he has dished out a bouquet of development.
All right, bouquet of cover. We'll come back to that. Yes, we have a caller from Nasarawa in the person of Abdullahi. Abdullahi, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Just like Marlon and Jameelu has said, in fact, I'm on the same page with the school of thought that is in support of the step taken by the federal government to give local government autonomy. But let me quickly say, it is not yet Uhuru. This is because unless we have people that will have the capacity to man the affairs of this local government, it is then we can celebrate. That is, by extension, government should immediately put in place a machinery through the Independent National Electoral Commission to actually conduct election that will bring in people who will be happy if in a state we have some local government that are in opposition party at the helm of affairs, so that we can be able to checkmate the people at the helm of affairs. Or else, at the end of the day, I could see most of these people that are going to manage this local government going to jail, because the past experience has been so bitter. The system has been bastardized, so there is a need to bring competent hands to put him in a right shape. Thank you very much.
Abdullah, thank you very much. You see, it's like he's on the same page with you, but added a caveat that INEC should take over. In our story in the newspaper today, we spoke with former governor of Adamawa State, Bala Nglari, and the former governor, deputy governor in Benue State. They're all along this line, saying for the local governments to actually truly be effective, there must be a kind of opposition, and you can only have opposition when election is conducted by an unbiased umpire in the person of INEC at the national level. But this will require constitutional amendment, right?
Of course. Since the Supreme Court has been able to dish out this, I think it is not a Herculean task dishing out about credible elections at the local government levels. Our legislators, parliamentarians would have to now sit and look at these things critically. Our academia, they would have to bring in their own inputs to say that of all the things that have been happening, these are their own studies. This is what they have discovered about the local government and about the politics of the local government. So how best are we now going to put in a democratic system, a democratic structure at the local government level, where credible candidates will be voted and they will be answerable to the people. Thank God it is within a single domain. People will knock at your door and ask questions.
What are you doing?
What are you doing? This is what you are supposed to do. You've been collecting 200, 300 million every month. Every month you collect. Where is our 200, 300 million? And you are not. How many primary schools are at the local government level, and most of them under whose custody? You see, these things are now supposed to be in the limelight. These are developmental issues that we are supposed to put in front of or on the decks of the local governments to say that this is exactly what we want. And it is supposed to be a systemic issue. A systemic issue in the sense that it has to be a kind of a national policy to bring out and say, okay, define so exact roles for the local government system. And then you can leave some other things floating, but these primary things should be defined for the local governments to handle.
Jameelu, do you know something? I may sound naive, but since yesterday when this issue of bringing election to INEC in Abuja, filtered, I was asking myself, I don't have the solution. How do you now reconcile? How do you reconcile? Already, like State Assembly, the election is conducted by INEC, but you can see they are in the pocket of governors. We will chew this after we receive this call from Aliyu in Akwanga. Aliyu, welcome to the program.
Yes, sir. Good evening, I'm Idris and Jameelu and Mohammed.
Thank you. Yes.
Yes, Shamaki. Really makes sense, Shamaki.
Oh, Shamaki, how are you?
I'm fine.
Okay, how is Akwanga?
Akwanga is fine, there's no problem.
Okay, now what is your take? You are going to talk on local government autonomy, Ministry of Livestock, or importation of food?
Both of them.
Okay, then you have to do this in less than 2 minutes.
Okay, let me first of all start with that ministry.
Okay.
In fact, to me, this is the one Nigeria wants at this crucial time. Okay. We have so many ministries. What is their function? So what is the effect of creating this ministry? So to me, it's waste of time. On the issue of local government autonomy, I heard Mr. President. He showed a bold step by doing that because this is supposed to be done during Buhari administration. Although Buhari was one that made that move, but along the line he didn't finish it. The tinubu now finish it. So he showed the leadership and quality of democracy. But chairman should not think that it's going to be as business as usual. Because I think the red technique will be naked on them. So anybody who will be thinking that it's a normal business and going to support money, I think EFCC will catch with you. So thank you and God bless you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shamaki. You heard him. He's on the same page with you in respect to the Ministry of Livestock. But many will be shocked, Jameelu. You are from Mambila.
Well, what I'm saying is, yes, I welcome it. But how effective would it be? You see, our problem is not the structures, the governmental systems, but even the individuals. This is our basic problem. Let me give you an example. If you are talking about livestock, if you are talking about, say, because I'm from the Mambila Plateau, yes, I will support it. This is true because it is the bedrock of
animal grazing
and economy there, a wholesome economy there. But let me tell you, when I was part of a kind of trying to create a regulatory system for tea and coffee, when a senator was authored a bill, and if I tell you the rigors we went through trying to get that thing through, I'm telling you, it's like people are not ready. In fact, people came and were trying to sabotage.
So you think some people will sabotage the Ministry of Livestock?
Well, there are cartels who are bent on doing this kind of things. You see, there is a way they are benefiting from some other alternatives. One. Two, if you say Ministry of Livestock, I agree. Now, who and who are going to man this Ministry of Livestock? You see, the livestock system itself, it is so devastated, it is so weak now that how are you going to, it's just like the large agricultural system. The reason why we are having problems with our agriculture is because we are bringing a kind of foreign systems that our people are ill-equipped about anchoring those systems. You say you want to mechanize agriculture. These people are not so educated as to handle these machines or handle the systems. When you bring tractors, they now buy, they get these tractors and then sell them off to Cameroon Republic. I have seen such things. I'm telling you, I have seen such things. Not all implements, including fertilizer. You give people fertilizer because you are giving them, they have maybe 1 hectare, 2 hectares. They don't need it. They won't even farm. They will take the fertilizer, sell it to Cameroon Republic.
Then we should stop. I think we should stop blaming government.
I think, yes, to some extent. No, we can still blame government. Government, you are supposed to put capacity in the system first. The capacity to handle these things are not there. One, education. You have to educate people, not only formal education going to school, right? Even the skills acquisition. You have to make people acquire skills of using these implements. But it is not there. As I said, you have to commercialize. Ministry of Livestock, yes, welcome. I like it. 100% I like it. But you have to commercialize.
Okay, we'll take another caller in the person of Ikechukwu from Ebonyi State. Welcome to the program, Ikechukwu.
People decide most than urban areas.
Yes, we're happy having you on the program, and let's have your take. Hello? Hello? Are you with us? Sadly, yes, we lost the connection with Ikechukwu. The question I asked earlier, especially because many people are interested in the local government administration, and personally, I don't think INEC taking over the election is the solution, because INEC conducts election for State House of Assembly. But don't be surprised now if you take a bill that must have the concurrence of the state legislatures. They will tell you that they don't want even the freedom for themselves, not to talk of...
The problem is not INEC. The problem is systemic. You do not have people with capacity coming into the system to contest for these positions. You have people with weak capacities. That's the problem. So it is systemic. It is systemic in the sense that the system of bringing people into governance, the Nigerian system, the recruitment process is very weak.
So who will start the process of strengthening it?
Well, legislation. Let me give you an example. You come from nowhere. You have not even handled a private company of 5 people. Then you come today, you say, I'm contesting for Senate. you contest and win.
Because you have the money.
Because you have
or
the
money.
Governor
wants you.
That is it.
Maybe
because
as a placeholder.
You have been sponsored by somebody. You have never led 5 people. How are you going to represent 300, 500, 3 million people? How is it possible? It's not possible. So the recruitment process is faulty. The recruitment process has to have a kind of graduation. If, for instance, they would say, okay, you cannot be a member of a House of Assembly except you have once been possibly a councillor, or you've been maybe a director, or you have managed,
or a headmaster.
You have managed a sizable set of people for a particular period. I think the recruitment process is faulty. So the problem is not INEC. Even if INEC conducts a very credible election where people credibly win, the person that wins may not be capacitated to fill that position. That's
our it's problem. Like we have Ikechukwu back from Ebonyi. Welcome to the program, Ikechukwu. Yes. Yes, good evening. Well done. And let's have your take.
My take is financial autonomy for local government. The issue here is we should have a mind that will circulate out the funds meant the local government is spending.
Okay.
So that what the people need, fiscal and facilities, you need the common one.
Okay.
So not for them to bring the money. So the others should come in and conduct local government elections so that they will have upper hand to charge the money meant for the masses.
All right. Thank you, Ikechukwu.
Okay.
Yes, thank you and good evening. Yes, you had him. He too aligns with INEC
taking over. You see, the issue is not about the credibility of the elections, I have said. It's about the capacity of the individuals. And that's where we are having problems.
But you see, sometimes there are some governors that are really determined in strengthening the local government areas at their own level.
Yes,
by even though they will win the election for their party, but you realize that they bring people of capacity. For instance, a professor. I know of some states that they have professors as local government chairmen in Nigeria now. So maybe the governors should live by their words.
We hope so, but the problem is if you are opening something that is not legislated, something that is not at a policy level.
Yeah.
It's just like an understanding. It's just like you have written an MOU.
Okay.
It won't last. It won't.
Okay, we have Kenneth from Niger, most likely Mina in Niger said yes. Welcome to the program, Kenneth.
Good evening.
Yes, we are happy having you on the program.
Yes, my word is just a small advice to local government because all of us are celebrating the local government autonomy. The advice I have to the new chairman that will take over the council office is that let them be aware that the EFCC is around the corner.
Okay.
Because very soon they will be spending money as the way they like. The fact know that most of our past governors are there in the EFCC custody.
Okay.
So my own is just to give advice. And please let it be that the INEC will conduct election for all local governments if possible. Let it be unique like the general election.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kenneth. He endorsed INEC also, but he said EFCC should be ready, right?
Yes.
And I think they should start from July. I mean, when monies for July are released, by mid-August, they should start. We should see them bringing some local government to their cells in Abuja.
Well, no, it is not possible. First of all, you have to see. You see what the Supreme Court said was that it is a directive that henceforth the Accountant General should credit the local governments directly. Okay. Now, you cannot say in 1 month you will be able to determine whether
the efficiency
or the effectiveness, whether they have effected such things. You cannot determine in a month or 2 or 3. But what I do agree is that if we implement this autonomy, it will cut corruption by around 20% or so.
This is your projection?
This is my projection. It will cut corruption, because one of the very sources of corruption is the concentration of local government money in the state.
In the hands of one man.
Yes. So if you move it now, even if there will be corruption at the local government level, a little bit of the funds will be released for public use. So that will cut corruption.
Maybe clearing of drainage, construction of feeder roads.
Maybe. Or even proper salaries. Maybe. Because there are situations where you find local government salaries hanging by 8 months, 10 months.
But do you know that some local governments subsidize others in some states? Because what gets to some of these local governments from the center will not cater for overheads and then basics like salary and all that. So how are they going to cope? Meaning that you will have some local government that will be heavily indebted.
No, it does not have to be that. You see, you have to audit. You see, the local government system now would have to be audited. If you audit the local government system, the ghost workers and
must be weeded.
In fact, I understand that ghost workers would be some 80% of what we are having today.
80?
Yes. Is my projection, but I will give you even certain examples. I have seen in the past, maybe it is about 12, 15 years ago, right? I have seen a situation where one local government staff collecting the salaries of 13 people.
13
people.
One staff.
A local government chairman came and instituted an investigation, and the investigation brought out this. And even before the report was implemented, I know this man came begging.
For soft landing.
For soft landing. He was collecting salaries of 13 people, one single person. And the names of 13 people were there, and he was collecting them. So you can now project, if this kind of things are happening, then you can now project what is the amount of ghost workers we have there. And when I was in the university, I knew some of my colleagues that I schooled with them. They were local government salary earners, not necessarily local government workers, but they were salary earners from the local government. They were those, when we graduated, I told them, I say, fear God. Now you have graduated. If you are collecting that to sponsor your education, now you have graduated. Fear God and resign.
Yes.
Thank God some of them actually had me and they resigned. So I'm only giving you a picture of how endemic that corruption, that ghost worker issue is there. It is still there. There are certain people that are still collecting money and are not staffers. They are only earners of local government money. Okay, so it has to be. There has to be a general audit of the staffing system.
It's okay. We have less than 3 minutes to wrap up, but I want to have your take on this issue of importation of food. You said you are not for it. So what do you think government must do in the alternative? But the Minister of Agriculture said in the next 180 days, prices of food will crash.
Number one problem. With what are you going to import food? Dollars. What is the price of dollars today? Where are you going to source for the dollars?
Maybe they have it.
You see, who? If they have it, let them ship in. Why are they talking about now subsidizing or removing duties on it? It means some people are going to import it. Do you understand me?
Okay.
Yes, it means private individuals are going to do the importation. If private individuals are doing the importation, for how much are they going to get the dollars? Dangote complained about the 30% interest rate on this thing. He said it is not sustainable. In fact, it will not develop any business in Nigeria. And that's the truth. You have 30% interest rate. You have crippled production in Nigeria.
So you are saying it will not work?
Yes.
Is it another clickbait? Because you had Senator Ndume and you also had Senator Amel Lawal the other day. So all the ranting about food in the reserve, strategic reserve, wasn't true. There was no
food. There was no enough. There was what the figures we are getting. It means those figures are not right. But I still insist, if you are still talking about importation, unless you are saying that, okay, government, just be Father Christmas, import the food yourselves, and then find a way of dishing it subsidizing and dishing it to Nigerians. Maybe that will make sense. But the government will still tell you that we have little dollars. If we take these dollars, go and import food, the naira will still crash furthermore. So you see, it is an economic issue.
All right,
this one, if just give it 2 months, 3 months, maybe they will import certain foods, but it won't solve our problem. We will continue this cycle.
All right. Thank you very much, Jameelu Mohammed, for your take on this. We hope those that matter listen and they will act appropriately. We hope to have you some other time.
Thank you very much for having me.
And viewers, thank you very much for being with us. And that's the wrap on today's edition. We hope you found the conversation engaging and informative. And be sure to join Daily Politics Live, airing every weekday, and our special package on Friday, during which we open the telephone line for you to comment on national issues as we did today. We thank all those that called. Bye-bye for now. See you next week for another interesting edition.